New York has the Empire State Building, Chicago has deep dish pizza, Orange County, like it or not, has the Real Housewives. The reality show that people, 2 million or so per episode, love to hate, now in its 11th season. And it spawned imitators across the nation and around the world. Real Housewives from Beverly Hills to New York to New Zealand. What's the secret to this show's success? And what does it say about Orange County and society for that matter? I'll ask the show's creator, Scott Dunlop, right now on Inside OC. Inside OC is brought to you by 5 Point. 5 Point is an independent real estate development company with assets under management across California. 5 Point is a proud sponsor of public television and community programming.
Memorial Care is transforming the way healthcare is delivered, keeping our communities and businesses healthy by guiding them on the path to wellness with easily accessible hospitals, physician offices, and outpatient centers. Memorial Care, leading the way.
I haven't received any bonuses for that, but it's great stuff.
Hi, I'm Rick Reiff, and this is Inside OC, and I'm talking with the creator and executive producer of The Real Housewives of Orange County, Scott Dunlop. So, Scott, The Real Housewives now in its 11th season, a reality show in its 11th season. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, 11 seasons. The show, its genesis in Orange County is great. It's wonderful that it happened here. I think that 11 seasons in, last season, 10th season, it was our highest rated in terms of viewers. So we're in the 11th season. It's exciting. And if you were to look at television, you would think that it should be on a downward trend, but we're stable.
And all the spin-offs, we'll get into those in a minute,
Well,
but did you ever think the show would be this big?
I don't know that anyone could say that it would be as big as it's been and how it's propagated. I think the aspect of it being an entertaining show, it's kind of a show that embraces social anthropology in a way, and you may challenge me on that, but we can talk about all of that. But
social anthropology is kind of a big term for this, for a reality show.
Well, but in essence, that's what it is. It was a social experiment in the beginning. And it's kind of behind the looking glass view into lives of your neighbors, at least in Coto de Caza, and as it's expanded around the country and the world.
Yeah, so it's, in a way, is it entertainment, just pure, sheer entertainment, of almost, to be a little cruel, the freak show variety? What's this weird stuff these people are doing or whatever? Or is it, I don't know, there's people who say it's destructive to the social fabric.
What I say
you get
about
that, right? You've heard that.
Of course, we've all heard that. I think what I would say about the show is you can love the show, you can dislike the show, but you cannot ignore the show. And therein lies the opportunity for the show to have sustainability. Now, if you look at the show, there is conflict. In all literature, whether it's televised, filmed, or written, conflict moves the story forward. So there are disagreements and there are differing opinions, and the ladies that express that, it's part of the narrative. So I think the show, honestly, there's great irony and there's jeopardy, and it's just a good mix of elements from a narrative in an unscripted show that survives.
So how did the show come about?
Well, probably in 1997. I've lived in Coto for 30 years. And I was sitting around, and I used to be involved in the entertainment sector. I first got in Los Angeles at the Groundlings Theater and understood improv and came to really embrace that. And I was sitting in Coto de Caza once, and I thought, I think you could take regular folks and do a short film that's improvised, that was tongue-in-cheek and a little parodistic on life in Coto. I was at a dinner with social friends, and they said, "Why are you in a bad mood?" I said, "I'm not in a bad mood. I'm just a little bored. I feel as though someone's vacuumed out the sense of humor in Coto." They go, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Well, what I'd like to do is offer you a small taste of immortality." And they go, "What does that mean?" I said, "Well, because we're all mortal, we're all going to die. I'd like to do a short film that's a parody on life in Coto de Caza." And they said, "Why would you do that?" And I said, "Because I'm bored." Because I'm bored. I'm bored. I'm just bored. And it doesn't mean that I'm right, but I would like to do that. And it was kind of tracking back to the stuff that occurred in the improv side. So I could never get everyone together to do it. But once they heard that it was about them, they were interested. So I think it's kind of a notion on social anthropology.
You had to interest Bravo or somebody, right?
Well, no, that was before it was going to go into the reality sphere.
Right. And so now you've got the concept, you've got people willing to do it, and then you pitch it to Hollywood, or what?
Well, what happened was, after that would not kind of come to completion to get these folks together, reality television was taking off. And as I looked at this, and I would watch kind of through the eyes of my wife, she always would come back and tell me about tennis drama or this. And in Coto, it's a bedroom community where all the men traditionally leave and the women are left on the ranch to kind of run wild. And so their stories were authentic stories. So television, primarily, of course, your show is as well. It's a women's medium. You have a lot of men watching.
And I have people running wild on the set.
Running wild. They're here now. I said, stop that. Slow down. Anyway, the point being, when it came about, it was called Behind the Gates because it was a gated community. And I think Bravo at the time, they're brilliant in terms of understanding their brand. This show happened to be on brand. We ended up changing the title of the show to The Real Housewives of Orange County. And
the rest, as we say, is history. Do you think Bravo thought it would last as long as it has?
You'd have to ask them. In the discussions I've had, I think that in the first season, by the end of the first season, we had established, who we were, because it was really kind of a social experiment in the first season. Take Vicki Gunvalson, for example.
Let's talk about Vicki.
Vicki is the OG of the OC, longest running housewife across all the spectrum of all of the franchises, and there have been 92 housewives amongst all of the franchises. Vicki, 11th season, hardworking insurance executive, interesting personality. When I first wanted to cast her, I was fascinated by how hard she worked and how little she slept. And she was so authentic and so unfiltered. And when I went to her home to say, I'd really love for you to consider being on this program, she said, "Why? I don't know anything about television. What do I know about television? I don't look the right part for television." I said, "Look, let's take a jump off the diving board here and have some fun this summer." And
now, she is a kind of a polarizing figure. There's a lot of people that don't like Vicki. They make nasty comments about her on the blogs and things like that. Does that get to her?
I think it gets to all the girls, but if you look at the show and you follow the show, as I said, you can love the show, you can dislike the show, but you can't ignore it. I mean, it's part of the territory. I think in social media today, there is a lot of negative perspectives because, it's kind of an absentee moral position to judge when you don't have to sit across from someone and communicate. So I don't think it
Are you responsible for Donald Trump being a candidate for president? And of course, how I arrive at that question is that the Real Housewives of Orange County really established, trailblazed this whole idea of people being reality stars. And Donald Trump, a successful businessman, but also a reality star, running for president and getting votes probably because of his celebrity.
I wouldn't say that Donald Trump is a reality star. He was on a reality program and he was a judge. We're a docu-series, and so we are completely unscripted. He would adjudicate, and in a reality format, it's a competitive format. Now that he is the presumptive or the assumptive Republican nominee, I think that what he was able to do, whether you agree with it or not, is from a populist position, is aggregate and in the primary make it kind of a wild and crazy ride. And I don't know that anyone could see the strategic reaction to that he would be able to pull that off. But
I thought it was interesting because of what you have done. You were now, when Politico recently wrote an article about what Trump should do at the Republican convention, they came to you. You were one of the people they asked. Scott Dunlop, tell us, what advice would you give Donald Trump? And I thought you had some interesting advice for him.
Well, it's not the advice I'd give him. I think that if they were going to try to make, Trump wants to make the RNC convention, or the Republican National Convention, more entertaining. Of course he is. So, but you've got to be on brand. Bravo, this show is on brand for Bravo. Is Trump on brand for Bravo? Oh, I don't know about that. Is he on brand with the RNC? I don't know. That seems pretty disruptive.
But you said maybe do some kind of a little reality thing where he's taking out the trash or...
well, I'd like to see, I think people would be interested in seeing the unseen Trump. Not the predisposed, pre-processed Trump in front of the marble.
Your caveat being you weren't sure if there is that Trump, right?
That's what I said. I'm not sure if he'd be there. No.
But I thought that was a very fascinating suggestion there. So, what is it about Orange County that has inspired all of these shows? We were going down the list. The first one was the OC, the melodrama, if you will, 2003. Mm-hmm. Right after that, Arrested Development, which if folks haven't seen it, might be the funniest take on Orange County
Fabulous
ever.
Show.
That was a show. Laguna Beach, the real Orange County, the first kind of reality show. Shortly after that, Real Housewives starts. Now Bravo's going to be doing a real estate show in Orange County with beautiful male and female real estate agents battling one another. What is it about Orange County?
Why has it propagated?
Yeah. Why Orange County? Why Orange County?
Well, someone said to me, why didn't, the show should have started in Newport Coast. That's far more representative of Orange County. Well, maybe, but, I happened, because it was my idea, and it's not about me, because the collaborative notion on this is massive. And having Bravo in its genius and understanding and how it engages with the viewer is amazing. I'd lived in this neighborhood, and we were able to cast in the first season and subsequent seasons people that are interesting, women that are outgoing and are unfiltered. This makes for good television. Yeah. It's entertaining.
I'd like to ask, what is your arrangement with Bravo? In other words, what do you do? What do you do now in the show? You created it. What's your role now?
I'm an executive producer for the Real Housewives of Orange County, and Dunlop Entertainment works with Evolution Media, another great production company out of Los Angeles that produces the Beverly Hills franchise as well, among other shows. And my relationship is, as executive producer and developer of the show, I will work on the Orange County show and help where needed, help with casting and other affiliated matters. In terms of, I am credited and a part of all of the other spin-offs, but I'm not involved physically.
Do you get like a licensing fee or something for the show?
We don't discuss aspects of contracts, and so I have to respectfully move on from that. But I'm working. The show's still on air, and it's a fascinating ride.
How often do people pitch you? How often do you get pitched? Hey, Scott, I got a great idea for a show. And by the way, I have a great idea for a show. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah. Actually, a lot. Very often. Not probably in a week's time. I mean, the networks get massive amounts. I'll get 5 to 10 pitches a week.
One a day.
Yeah, something like that. People. And what's funny is because there's been such a proliferation of reality shows, I think everybody wants their story to be told. Because if you look at Housewives, people they have celebrity for being themselves. So if you're a celebrity, Rick. So, sorry,
forget it. Yeah,
no, that's good. But I think regular folks would love to have their own show for a lot of reasons that they believe are correct, but may not be good television. So.
And so, do you ever? I mean, that's got to be. You have to let people down gently, or
yeah. I think it's almost become a little bizarre. it's almost like a Rod Serling episode sometimes, because I feel as though occasionally people may be a bit dysfunctional and they believe that the show will overcompensate or compensate for something that is lacking. But I try to keep it light and breezy.
Okay. Over the years, 11 years of the Real Housewives, there's been, as you say, Vicky is the original. She's the only one that's still there from the original cast. They've gone through a lot of changes. There have been a lot of divorces. There have been all these kinds of things. You know what?
It's life. Well, you know, it just reflects. We're holding a mirror up to life. I mean, there are divorces, but actually, I did a review of the metric. You know, there'll be articles that say, "Oh, if you're on the Real Housewives, that you're bound to be divorced." Actually, the metric that I reviewed, when I looked at the number of divorces or dissolutions across the franchise, is way below the national average.
Really?
It was like 28% versus 50.
Only 28%.
What's South Orange County's divorce rate?
I would. Well, I don't know. I'm guessing South. You know,
It's gotta be
35%. I don't know.
Over 50.
You know.
So
Over 50, and is a divorce rate on the Real Housewives of Orange
it's much
County?
lower. No, we're about, I think, from my math, and I'm known for my mathematical wizardry. No, it's like 28%, 28.8.
Okay.
So,
Is it hard or easy to find wives these days? Women who want to be on the show.
I think it's difficult because the show has been on air a long time, and we really need people that are comfortable in their own skin. And sometimes, you know, affectation just won't work. We really want authentic selves. So if you have someone, please let us know.
So it's hard, but how about people coming that are volunteering? They want to be on. Is that or do they run away when they see you coming?
Oh no, I think now celebrity culture and popular culture, that whole merging of celebrity, social media, I think there's a lot of interest for a lot of ladies would love to be on the show. So
now, when you started the show, you weren't necessarily the most popular guy in Coto de Caza. There were people who were very upset, concerned about the image and all that kind of thing. Is that still the case?
I'm very popular. I was voted, what's the term of art? Oh, Mr. Congeniality. That's what it would be.
Oh,
okay. So no, initially
you're saying you were voted Mr. Congeniality?
No, I said I'd like to get that.
You're just leading me on. I'm so easy.
No. But initially, when the show was first coming out, I remember meeting at the country club with the board of directors, and it was usually you'll have 8 or 10 people show up. There were 300 people at the meeting, and it was a bit contentious because people didn't know what the show was going to be, and they had an assumption it was going to be, you know, helicopters and trucks everywhere and people running into your house with cameras, and of course it wasn't that. So there was an initial reaction, and so some people would see me and, you know, not be sure. Now, if you were to transition, I'll see guys walking around Coto and they say, "Hey, I was in Scotland and I pulled out my license and I'm checking into this hotel in Scotland," and they go, "Oh my God, Coto de Caza, do you know the Real Housewives?" He goes, "Yeah, I know some and I live there." They go, "Oh, this is amazing. It's our favorite show. Tell you what, we're going to bump you up to the presidential suite."
You think it's like there's nothing like success too, that you start out, they're not sure where this is going? You're a success.
The show's a success because Bravo is amazing at being able to look at whatever the show is and manage that process of growth and understanding the engagement with their
And just to go back to how
viewers.
big the franchise is now, there are how many shows nationwide, how many spin-offs of the Housewives?
We have Orange County, New York, New Jersey, Atlanta, Potomac, Dallas. Potomac and Dallas are new this season. Miami and DC were on, and Beverly Hills, of course. And internationally, there have been a number of shows. I think there are 8 destinations from Athens, France. A new one is being developed in Toronto. There's Vancouver.
Interesting.
New Zealand.
Athens and France didn't last. What does that say? Why Athens? I thought that was.
I couldn't tell you. You know,
they have enough trouble paying their bills in Athens.
Well, that's an entirely different subject matter. And this is not a Housewives is not a politically charged type of narrative.
Right. Okay. Tell us a little bit about Scott Dunlop before you became the creator of this successful series. Where'd you grow up, and how'd you wind up in Hollywood? So to speak?
I grew up in Michigan City, Indiana, on Lake Michigan, 26 miles around from Chicago.
Blue collar, Rust Belt, steel mills, 25 miles from Gary. And from an entertainment standpoint, I mean, I started as a musician. I played basketball, but I was a musician. So I played in symphonic band, had rock bands, jazz bands, did all that stuff. And I always kept my drums when I would go off to school, whatever. When I got to Los Angeles, I kept my drums, and that's how I kind of broke into the Groundlings Theater. I worked with Ray Colcord, who's the music director, and he let me audition, and so I did shows. Then I was able to do a little improv, etc. And I used to hang out with the late Phil Hartman, worked with Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman, a lot of amazing talent. And the Groundlings is a feeder into SNL. So Saturday Night Live.
Yes, I had an ad agency when I moved to Orange County after being in Los Angeles, and produced commercials and did that. I had a lot of fun. I like doing strange voices. And I used to do a lot of radio.
Yeah, give us a strange voice. Anything?
Hi, I'm Rick.
No, well, we would do these very odd character-based radio commercials.
Okay, so you've always had that entertainment bent. So then I got to ask you, why are you in Coto de Caza? You should be in Hollywood.
Got to Coto de Caza, different business completely. Computerized biomechanics got me there. As a licensee of Wilson Sporting Goods, and I developed the sales and marketing program for that. But I lived in my wife and I lived in LA for 7 years, and I did some acting. I did a few small films, and was a location manager on a feature film.
So no wonder you were bored then in Coto de Caza, I guess.
Yeah, there's not a lot of action going on in Coto,
yeah,
so we kind of create our own entertainment.
So how are you perceived, like people in LA? What do they think? Do you ever get, Scott, what are you doing in Orange County?
Of course.
You should be.
Just like you think, people in Orange County will think
I'm very happy and comfortable here.
No, I know. So am I. I love Orange County, and I understand LA. I lived there for 7-8 years, but I think people tend to typecast. So if you're living in Orange County, maybe my friends in LA think I'm right-wing Republican, etc. And when I'm in LA, of course they're going to think I'm a right-wing Republican. Now in Orange County, everyone thinks I'm a left-leaning liberal because I'm in show business.
So I'm going to ask you, what are you, Scott? So misunderstood.
I'm an independent. I truly am. I have been on both sides of the aisle. I was in the energy business for a few years, and the Republican Party had some issues, and so I did look into the Clinton administration for a while.
You mentioned energy. You do other things besides the Real Housewives. You have this energy company.
Yeah, well, for a number of years did that prior to, it was a disruptive technology. I mentioned this, that I spoke at the VC and the OC, and somebody asked me, when did you become a television producer and leave the other businesses? I said, look, you guys didn't want to invest in those. So I was able to create a disruptive entertainment product that took off. It's only in America. So.
And might they now be more interested in your alternative energy company?
They might, if they were to. I would think this. I think I would first want them to tune in on Mondays at 9 p.m. on Bravo to watch the show.
I love it.
Because, honestly, because it's funny how business people will approach me and say, they're really closet watchers. Guys with MBAs and PhDs, they really watch the show. And so I would want them to watch the show, and then we could discuss energy.
Well, and there are many closet watchers of the Real Housewives of Orange County and of the other housewives. Scott, so great to have you on.
My pleasure.
Thanks so much. Well, that's it for now. Thanks to my guest, Scott Dunlop. You can watch this show and past shows by going to pbssocal.org or rickreiff.com. You can also catch our shows and our post-show open mic chatter on YouTube. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram Thanks for watching. We'll see you again on Inside OC. Inside OC is brought to you by 5 Point. 5 Point is an independent real estate development company with assets under management across California. 5 Point is a proud sponsor of public television and community programming.
Memorial Care is transforming the way healthcare is delivered, keeping our communities and businesses healthy by guiding them on the path to wellness with easily accessible hospitals, physician offices, and outpatient centers. Memorial Care, leading the way.